everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related,
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
or a cup of coffee
and join us for a quick chat after class. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of After Class with Ballet for All. Today, Hannah is going to be talking about an adult ballet intensive that she just attended last weekend. She's going to go over the daily schedule, over what were the highlights and challenges of this intensive. So welcome, Hannah, to today's episode.
So good to see you.
Yay, it's so nice to have you back. I have so many questions. Let's start with how was everything? How did you feel?
Yeah, it was so great. I think I was especially excited for this one because I didn't think I was going to get to do an intensive this year. And it was just like kind of unexpected that I even ended up signing up and going. And I went to the Novinski intensive in Santa Barbara, California, so everyone knows. And yeah, it was just such a good week. I always get a little nervous going into intensives, which is funny. Like it's like right before like the day of, the first class, I kind of get that like, oh, I'm a little nervous. And I don't know if that's just something that never goes away when you're walking into a situation that don't know the people, don't know the teacher, don't know the studio. And so it's like that, oh, is everyone going to be nice? Like, what's it going to be like? So I was a little nervous, but as soon as I got there and met Amy and the other classmates, it was just full on fun and awesome from that point on.
That's so awesome. So let's begin with, what did the daily schedule look like? Just walk us through, what was your daily schedule?
Yeah, this one was a little bit different than the other one I've gone to the Catherine Morgan intensive twice, which was, I believe, Monday through Friday, or technically, I think like we had a social activity on Sunday night and then Monday through Friday. This one was essentially like a long weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on Thursday, we just had a night class. And I think that was just to give people more time to arrive and get settled. So we had class, I think it was from 7:30 to 9, like just an hour and a half technique class. And that was it for Thursday. But it was funny because I'm not used to taking class that late, which sounds like such an old person thing to say. But I usually take morning and afternoon classes. And so it was really funny because starting class for me at like 7:30 and finishing at 9, I was like, oh, I'm a little tired. So essentially the time frame was different every day at this intensive. So I think the second day we had class from like 2 to 6 or 6:30. The third day we had class from like 12:30 to 4:30. And then the last day we had class from 10 to 1. So yeah, it was a little bit different every day, which was fun. I had to like pay more attention to when I had to be at the studio because it wasn't the same time every day.
Yeah, so it actually keeps you on your toes, not because of the ballet class, but because you have to get sure of what time the classes were. So that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what is it today? Is it 10? Is it 2? Like, I had to keep looking. But once we got there, we had class straight through. So it wasn't like we would have an hour and a half of class and then leave and then come back. It was straight through the whole time. So with the exception of that first night where we just had a technique class, the other 3 days, we would have a technique class, a point class, a short break, and then we'd go straight into repertoire. So we learned a piece from Sleeping Beauty, which was really fun. We learned in the Russian production, it's the Bridesmaids dance. So it was a really fun group piece. And so that was really fun because I think as adults, you just don't get a lot of opportunities to learn choreography.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for the most part, that's one of the things I love about your YouTube channel is you post choreographies from different ballets, because I think for adults, it's really hard to find repertoire classes just like at the studio. A lot of studios don't even have anything like that for adults. So that was a really fun part of the intensive, was getting to spend 3 days just working on a piece of choreography and dancing together. Like, I think it was kind of like you get this little feeling of almost like what it would be like to be in a ballet company.
Yeah, it does. I can imagine. Like, you're going there in different timings, you're doing your class, you're point lessons, and then you go to repertoire. And that's exactly what we would do as professionals.
So one of the things I love about intensives is, for someone who didn't dance professionally, it's really fun to feel like you're getting this little window into what it would be like to be a professional dancer, in the sense that you're getting to dance, for most of the day, and then you're getting to learn choreography. It's like you kind of have that little taste of like, oh, this is what it would feel like. And it's really fun if you've never got to experience that.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I love those experiences. Like even me, I was part of it at some point, and now I don't have it anymore. So it definitely, I can say that I miss it a lot. So for you to have that experience, it can be definitely just like surreal and a dream come true. Like, oh, I don't just get to do ballet in point classes, but I actually get to use what I learned in class in a little piece of classical repertoire, which has been going around for years and years. So that's amazing. Were only females there, or there were more like mix of boys, girls?
So we had one guy at ours, but it was a really small intensive, and that's also, I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because the other intensives I've been to have been fairly large, and there's been multiple levels taking place at the same week. So like one group would be in one studio, the other group would be in the other studio, and then for anything that's everyone together, it's a pretty big group. And this one, there was only 14 of us, which was really nice because we got a lot of individual attention and corrections.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's one of the things about the adult community. Actually getting to put faces to people, or to be like, I never met you, I never follow you on the Instagram or so on, but it's cool to know that someone else has same interests as you. You don't feel that odd. You don't feel that different, right? Like most of my students, their friends don't dance ballet. They are the only ones that do ballet. And I know that sometimes it feels like am I normal? Why is no one else doing ballet with me? So it's good to go somewhere where there are more people on our age range that actually like it as well. You're like, okay, I'm okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, I love that about intensives. It's so fun to meet other people that, just as you said, are into the same thing, because I do think ballet, it can be so, it's just consuming, like most of us as adults that are dancing ballet, like we love it so much. Like, yes, technically it's a hobby, but I don't think we think of it as a hobby. It's like a passion. And so it's so fun to go to an event where you get to be around a bunch of other people that feel the same way, and you just get to be ballet nerds together for multiple days. It's so fun. It's just so, you feel just totally like you're with your people.
Yeah, exactly. How did you feel about the level of the classes? So as you said, it was 14 of you. I presume that obviously it might have been all different levels of dancers in that group. So how did you feel with the ballet class? Was it too hard? Was it too easy? Or there was chances for you to adjust any exercise?
Yeah, the level I felt was really good for me, because I had never done anything Vaganova style before, and it's so funny because I feel like I'm such a mutt when it comes to my ballet background. It's like when I was younger, I was in an RAD studio. My in-person teacher is Giacchetti. You're, Cuban national with RAD, and I had never taken anything Vaganova, and the instructor for this one that's her background. And so it was definitely challenging to jump into a completely new style. But one of the things I appreciated about her as an instructor is I felt like she struck a really good balance between, yes, teaching us Vaganova technique, but also being understanding of the fact that we were all coming from different backgrounds, and so not like harping on it so much to where you're just getting frustrated and discouraged. And it was really good because it was a mix for me of, it was pretty much all challenging because of the Vaganova element, but as far as like learning the choreography went, it was definitely challenging, and I liked that. Like I liked that it was a good challenge, but it wasn't so overwhelming that I just got discouraged. I think you have to kind of find that balance.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, you want to be challenged, but you don't want to be so challenged that you just feel like, what's even the point? And so I think this event in particular was a really good mix for me of feeling challenged in just the right amount.
So what about the point class? I'm sorry, I'm very nosy, and I know that a lot of people have the same questions, right? So what about the point class? How long was the point class? And was it only bar class? Was it bar and center? How was to be exposed to the point classes in person with someone else? How was that?
It was great. She did a lot of bar, and I think that was kind of just based off of assessing the room and where everyone was at. I think the challenging part for me of doing point work at intensives is that, especially as the days go by, you're just getting more and more tired. So point work gets harder and harder because the fatigue is really hitting. And so I think, by the third and fourth day, it was hard even just to do like basic point work because your muscles are so tired. But yeah, it was mostly bar, and then we did do some center, pretty basic center, which I was really grateful for actually, because I think I had told you before I left, I've been having a little bit of issues with my right ankle, and so I had like a ankle brace on for the whole weekend, and I was a little bit like, oh, should I even be doing this right now? Probably not, but we're doing it anyway.
If I'm here, I better get on it.
If I'm here, I'm doing it. Take the Advil later. So yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed the little bit of center work that we did just because it was fun to be in a big group of other dancers on point and just kind of moving all together in unison. Like there was this one moment in particular where she was having us do forays across the floor and then turn, and we were all in our point shoes, and it was like that sound going across the floor, and everyone was up on point, and I was like, I had this super cheeseball moment that maybe some people will relate to, where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to be a ballerina. Like, this is what I would imagine being in the corps de ballet. Because, usually when I do my point lessons, I'm by myself. I'm at home alone dancing with you on Zoom. So it was really, I don't know, that was just one of the highlights for me. It was just this moment. Awesome. This moment of doing like a couple of 8 counts where everyone was just foraying across the floor. My heart was full.
Oh, so it was definitely worth it going there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about the highlights and challenges of the intensive?
The highlights, one of them was what I was just saying about dancing in a large group on point. That was really fun. Another highlight for me was on one of the days after class, I stayed after to talk to the instructor, and she ended up giving me some like really, really helpful personal feedback. And I so appreciate when teachers take the time to do that and they're not like rushing to get out of class and like book it out of the studio. I that's just something I always really value. Anytime an instructor is willing to take time and they're not in a rush. And she spent probably, at least 10 minutes really breaking some things down for me and giving me some really helpful advice and information about my body and things that she was seeing. And so that was definitely a highlight for me. Some of the challenges, I think, again, coming into the intensive having no Vaganova background, I don't think that was something that was like an insurmountable obstacle. So for anyone who is listening that's maybe wondering if they should even bother going to an intensive if the instructor teaches in a style or a methodology that you're not familiar with, I would say at least for this intensive, I think that it's still totally worth coming. If you're thinking of going to one of her events and you're like, but I've never done Vaganova, I think still definitely go. It's challenging, but it's not a disqualifying type of challenge, I don't think. I think some of the other challenges too are just pacing yourself. And I think that's something I'm better at now because this was my third intensive. I do that a little bit better than I did at like my first intensive, but it's definitely something you have to be mindful of. So that's always a challenge, holding yourself back a little bit at the beginning of the week.
True. It's very interesting because this will translate one day to when you can do or when you will have the chance to do a variation like what you did in your repertoire class, right? So I keep telling my students, you need to learn to pace yourself within a 1-minute variation. So if that is so important with 1-minute variation, imagine with 4 days intensive.
Yeah.
So you really have to know your body, how much you can push, how much you need to like just slow down a little bit because you still have an extra day to go. You still have another 4 hours to go. So it's very important. It's essential. And I'm glad that you recognize that, Hannah, because it's truly important to know. If you go flat out with all your energies the first 2 days, you're going to last nothing the last two. And the idea is to be able to use and maximize the time that you get there, the best of your possibilities. So great advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. Like, it's so important, I think, to know your body and know where you're at going into these, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I know it sounds silly calling 4 days a marathon, but for most adult ballet dancers who you're probably at maximum doing maybe 1 class a day, maybe 2 classes a day. You might have a day off in between your classes if you're not taking class every single day. To go from that to going to an intensive where you're dancing 3 classes back to back for multiple days in a row, you really have to like think through, especially if you have injuries, or just like pre-existing conditions, thinking through what can I modify. I remember the first night at this intensive, she gave some things on releve, and she even said, if you're not ready for doing it on releve, don't worry about it. Like, it's the first night. And, I think a couple years ago, I probably would have been like, oh no, I'm here, I'm at the intensive. Like, I got to get everything out of it that I can. Like, I got to go hard. And this year I'm like, nope, not doing that on releve. Like, I have 3 more days to go, and I have some little ouchy things that I'm dealing with right now. And I want to dance the whole intensive, not just getting injured on the first or second day.
Yeah, and it's that challenge of probably getting injured, but also it's, let's say that's the extreme case, but let's say the part of you bloating your body the first 2 days and then you just can't do anything for the next 2. So, and you're just wasting the last 2 days, and you will wonder, what if I had paced myself the first 2 days? So just listen to your body. I think that would be always the best advice. Listen to your body. If it's telling you that it's tired, just listen and slow down a little bit. That way you get to enjoy the next few days.
Yeah, I think keeping in mind too that at a lot of these intensive, if they are doing like a repertoire component where you're learning a piece of choreography, remembering that the last day is probably the day that you're gonna perform it, and wanting to have energy to be able to go all out for your final run-throughs. So also kind of having that in the back of your mind of like, if you're just going hard the first 2 days, then by the time you get to the end of the week where you've actually learned the whole piece and you're going to really want to go for it more, you're not going to have the energy to do that. So I think that's another factor to keep in mind.
True. Well, I think that for today, that's a lot of information on how an intensive works. If anyone has any questions, we still have one more episode in which Hannah is going to talk about what she packed to the intensive. Stay tuned. And if you have any questions, we can answer for you on our next episodes. Let us know. And Hannah, so excited for you with that intensive.
Yes, thank you so much for all of your help with getting me ready for it too. It was really fun. So hopefully this episode answers some people's questions if they're thinking of doing intensive.
Definitely. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.